How much of it is a subject, actually, over in Singapore? Because I've heard an awful lot of reporting about China.
Very nice to see you. Well, a lot of it is seen through that lens. The immediate response of the business people here is, what difference does that make to the trade war? What's going to happen? Is there going to be, maybe some of these Democrats will take a slightly kinder line, maybe they won't. But also that general idea that people here are very fixated on the idea that they see Trump as both the kind of protagonist in this battle, but also slightly as somebody who, if he was to be a little bit weaker, would that change the dynamic? And so far, at least, the answer seems to be not much. But that it is totally seen through that lens. It's a somewhat surreal experience.
Well, indeed, John, it's very well put, because it's still early going. We don't know what all the results are, but it is clear that the Republicans will hold the Senate and apparently increase the majority there. And although the Democrats will, in all likelihood, take a majority in the House, it will not be as large as was thought. One would have thought that will not cause the President of the United States to rein in his horns, so to speak, in any respect. If anything, it might be the reverse. So how much of that may have a chilling effect of the people over there in Singapore that you're talking with about the relationship between the United States and China?
Well, I was in China just before coming to Singapore, and there's quite an interesting debate going on, with some people in the leadership saying this is just Trump, and other people saying no, this represents a kind of change in America, that the idea that there is a group of people much wider than Trump who do not like the idea of China becoming the world's biggest economy, want to restrain China. I think that group of people will probably feel slightly more confident after this election that actually that is the America they're dealing with, because I don't think there is a sort of massive enthusiasm amongst the Democrats for kind of giving way to China on trade. And so I think there is a sort of shift there which they're coming to terms with, and there was at least a hope, I think, within some quarters in Beijing, that if Trump had a terrible midterm, that would mean a change of approach. But it doesn't. I think you're probably right. That doesn't look likely at the moment.
At the same time, we have this meeting and dinner, we're told, between President Trump and President Xi at the end of this month in connection with the G20 down in South America. Is it conceivable that, in fact, the President of the United States would feel more secure in his position, feel stronger in his position, and therefore feel it was easier for him to make concessions without really alienating his base?
That's possible. I think it's one of those things where we're all trying to work out exactly what the possible permutations are. My personal view, which obviously, like everyone else, is a guess, is that my experience of President Trump is that he is fairly hard line on this. He wants to, at the very least, have a victory of sorts, and I think he genuinely actually thinks he wants to equalize that playing field. I think it's one of the few areas where Trump is really going back to what he actually believes in. He's always been a protectionist. He was against NAFTA, which is quite a rare thing for a business person. I think it's very difficult to have the slogan America first and then end up with a world where it's China first. And I think there's a genuine element, may not be something we all agree with, but there's a genuine element that he wants to restrain China. And so I think that unless the Chinese are prepared to do substantial concessions, no matter how they're depicted, I think he will probably be inclined to keep going on this. My personal view is that he's not going to, if he does a deal, it might be to hold off a few sanctions for a while, but my instinct is that he's going to keep on pushing, because he thinks two reasons. One, it's something he does actually really believe in, and then secondly, it's probably electorally not that bad for him.